Hey everybody, and welcome to the 13th episode of Coffee with Keira, the exciting podcast where I don't actually drink coffee, but I get to chat with some pretty sweet people about their jobs. And no exception, joining me for coffee today is Rita. We'll be discussing her job as a financial coach. Make sure you watch though, because there's a lot more to it than you might think. See you inside. Good morning, Rita. Thank you so much for joining me for coffee.
Oh, good morning, Keira. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. I have orange juice this morning. What are you having to drink?
Oh, nice. Well, I'm drinking in an orange cup, but I have a vanilla latte in my cup this morning to kick off my weekend.
Nice. How's your day been so far?
You know what? It's been great. It's a beautiful day up here, and I think everybody's in Friday mode, which has been wonderful. So it's a little bit quiet today.
Yes. I'm getting excited for my games this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome.
Where are you calling from today?
So I'm calling from beautiful Aspen, Colorado. So I'm up in the Rocky Mountains up here in Colorado, and it is about a day before we're about to hit 14 inches of snow. So we are enjoying the last day or two of fall before winter kicks into gear.
Do you like when it starts snowing?
You know what? I love it. This is the tough time because the slopes aren't yet ready to go skiing. Yeah. So you're still waiting for that snow to accumulate, but it's so peaceful. The holidays are almost here. So it's such a wonderful time to be in the mountains.
Yes. So what is your job and where do you work?
Yeah. So I work for a company called Charles Schwab, and they are a discount brokerage investment company. So I work in finance. And my formal title is financial consultant. But what I really am, when it kind of peel back the layers, I'm really a financial coach. And it's slightly different than a financial advisor position. You often hear the word financial advisor.
Yeah.
But, my job is to work with clients here in the community and help them align their goals with the right resources.
So what type of people do you work with?
All kinds. And that's what's so much fun about being a financial coach versus an advisor. So a financial advisor will generally have a very particular type of client that they work with. Maybe those who are just about to retire, or maybe those who just want a certain type of investment strategy. Yeah. And they go out in a sales capacity to try to find these people that fit in their box.
Yes.
As a financial coach, I actually work with people on all spectrums. So folks who might do all of their own trading and they just need a sounding board to talk through their ideas, all the way to people who rely on Schwab and their money managers to actually make their investment decisions. And so I can work with someone who is fresh out of school, who's learning how to save for the very first time, all the way through people who are ready to retire and they want to make sure they can survive through retirement. It is such a great joy because every client is so different, and it's like a new treat every time I come into the office.
That's great. I'm interested in investing. So is there a good age for you to start investing? Is it ever too young to start?
Yeah, it's never too young. I wish so many more people would be thinking about the power of investing and the importance of finance at a younger age. I tell folks that it begins with your allowance. As soon as you start receiving money from, perhaps from your grandparents at the holidays or for your birthday or for doing extra chores around the house, that is where the lessons begin. And I would say that if that's something that you are interested in or you want to learn more about, talk to your family, talk to your parents, and share that, because it's a topic that it gets so often overlooked.
Yes. What would you say is the easiest way to get into investing and saving and all of that?
Yeah. So the real good thing to do initially is there's a lot of different resources online that your parents can help you find that allow you to do play accounts. And so there's no real money involved.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to worry about losing anything, but it's a great way for you to try it out. And you can create an account. They're all free, and you can actually pick stocks in different investments, and you can watch them just like you would in your own real account. It's a great way to tiptoe, try it out, and see if it's something that you enjoy doing.
Yeah. So it's like trial and error before you actually
Exactly.
have the issue of losing money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's nice. And sometimes it's a reality check too, because you look at it and you're like, oh gosh, why is my account down?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What does a typical workday look like for you?
So my pride and joy are clients. And so about 90% of my day is spent talking with clients, usually in a setting just like this. Pre-COVID, it would perhaps be at their office or their home or in my office. Now everything is done virtually. And I come in, and aside from checking in with my team to make sure that there's nothing urgent that needs to get done, I will then start calling out to clients, and either we have some appointments pre-scheduled, or I might do some reach outs just ad hoc to check in and see how they're doing. And so my day is generally looks the same in regards to the actual activity, but because this is under the backdrop of the markets, which can be chaotic some days, which might be up some days, the conversations can be so different. And when you call to a client, depending on what's happening in the market that day, the conversations might change. So in a way, there's a lot of consistency in my job, but in another way, there's no consistency in my job because every day could look different.
Yes, there's never a same day on the market.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't. Especially in a week like this, there's a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of folks will say, I just need someone to talk to. Tell me that it's going to be okay.
Yes. So you mentioned that you call people to talk to them about their finances. Is part of your job being a salesperson?
That's a great question. And in any type of job capacity, there is always a sales component because your company is not going to keep you around if you don't make them money, right? But the way that my sales works in the sense is that I'm not cold calling clients or people in the community saying, do you want to work with me? All of my clients already are working with me. The sales capacity steps in as to whether I can engage them and help them realize that maybe they need Schwab to help them. And so the sales part comes in as if I can work with a person who perhaps does all of their own trading, and I introduce them to a money manager or another service at Schwab that can help them, and it truly helps them. But because they're enrolling in that, now there is a revenue generating activity. So I would say that that's not the goal of the job. That's not the primary focus of the job. But yes, in full disclosure, of course, Schwab wants to make sure that I'm engaging clients and trying to get them to be more active with us.
So you mentioned that you have to talk to people a lot. What would you say? Do you have to be more mathematically smart, or do you have to be more of an extrovert? Like, which is more part of your job?
Great question. You know, when I started working for a finance company, my mom and dad said, are you sure? And the reason for that was because I didn't study finance in school, and math was definitely not my strong suit. I really enjoyed reading. I really enjoyed writing and communicating with people. And so even myself, when I first joined, I was a little worried about what did I sign up for?
Yes.
But the reality is that in my capacity, it is all about people. I would say about 90% of the job is about your people skills, and about 10% of the job is the numbers and the knowledge base. And the reason why I say that is because honestly, there are so many tools that we have access to do that math part, right? I'm not actually using my calculator every day to determine rates and returns. But what you can't provide a formula for is how do you talk to somebody who's really nervous about what the market is doing and wants to sell out of everything? Or how do you talk to someone who's worried about being able to retire and they need a game plan in place? No two people are alike, no two families are alike, and no portfolio is alike. And so it's a matter of being able to understand what people's real concerns are. I often say the need behind the need. And then and then being able to articulate how we can help them. And so it's definitely a relationship-based job. It's definitely a people-based job. So I try to tell as many young folks who are perhaps might be interested in pursuing this career, who are worried of finance, I'm not good at math. And I can say, listen, if I can do this job, you can do this job.
How many people do you usually work with in a day?
Just time permitting, because if I'm looking at an 8-hour day, I'm usually talking to about 3 or 4 formal appointments, and then just a couple of phone calls between. So I'm probably averaging about 10 to 12 real client interactions per day. And it just depends on how many appointments, because appointments are generally an hour long and they're more in depth, they're more complex. Versus perhaps just a call out to say hi and to check in and to make sure that they're doing okay.
Do you miss actually like going to people's offices, not just virtually?
I do. It's a different environment when you're trying to build relationships when it's over the computer. But thankfully for technology like Zoom, it does help. And when everything first happened, I was so afraid because I was just envisioning, like my grandparents struggling to use Zoom. But it's amazing how quickly everybody's doctors start using Zoom. Everybody starts Zooming with their family. And so when I said, well, do you want to meet over the video? They were like, yes, please. So it's been an adjustment. I do miss having the excuse to go out and see people in their homes. But this is a great alternative. It's been good.
How shut down are you guys there still?
So from the community standpoint, we are at about 30% capacity still. Being up here in the mountains in Aspen, it's a very tourist location. So we want to keep people coming. We don't want to scare people away. In my office particularly, I'm in this unique position where I work entirely by myself. So my staff is all based out of Denver. So even before COVID, I would be coming into the office by myself, working very remotely with my team. And so when COVID hit, it actually didn't feel very different. The biggest difference was that the backgrounds were homes and living rooms instead of offices. So,
is that common for it just to be you, or do you usually have a team?
In the office itself, like if you're in a city or a bigger town, yes, your staff sits in the office with you, and that's very common. I am kind of the rare exception, being up here in a very small mountain town. It's a little bit more challenging to maintain a staff just because the cost of living is pretty expensive here in Aspen. And so for a couple communities around the country, they'll have just a single person office. But I will say this, I'm definitely not alone. And that's what's really nice is that I have 2 teams. I have my internal team that comprises of my operating manager and an associate. So they help me with my clients directly. And then I also have a team of about 7 to 8 different folks with different specialized skills that I can bring into client meetings to talk about a particular subject matter in more complexity. And so altogether, I probably have about 15 people that work for me. But we're all just in different locations, which has been an interesting treat. But I definitely don't feel alone, even though I'm physically isolated.
Yes. So for those people that are for the specialty clients, are they more like the financial advisors, or are they separate?
So, and help me understand the question one more time, if you don't mind.
So you said there's like financial advisors and then like financial coaches. Are the specialty ones that you bring in, are they financial advisors, or are they just separate?
Yep, they're entirely separate. They're designed to be my support system.
Okay.
And instead of trying to get me to be an expert at everything, and there's just so much to be an expert on,
Yes.
that instead, if we're going down a path that might need more information, then in that case, I can bring this specialist in to talk more in depth.
Okay.
At Schwab, just the philosophy of the way that Schwab wants to make investing accessible to everybody. We don't have financial advisors at our firm. We are all financial coaches or consultants.
Okay.
And so the setup of it is that we want to be there to help all types of clients, not trying to sell one type of client. And so it's a firm decision, but that's why I love it here, because it's not that same type of environment as a financial advisor.
You have many options.
Yes.
How long have you been working there?
So I have been working for Schwab for just under 7 years. And I have been in this office doing this exact job for a little over a year now. But in previous roles with Schwab, I was a customer service rep. I started at the very bottom, just helping clients with paperwork, and ended up moving my way up to being a licensed broker, where I got to actually place trades for clients. It's not as exciting as the TVs make it look like, but then moved into portfolio management, where I was making the decisions for clients' portfolios. And then finally, I wore a hat that was pretty fun. I actually helped launch a new division within the company out in Las Vegas. So lots of different hats and lots of different positions that I've had experienced over my lifetime here at Schwab. But I will say this has been probably one of my favorite positions, because every day I get to come in and talk directly with clients. I get to help people on very real issues, and it's so empowering. You just leave the end of the day feeling so like, oh man, I made a difference in someone's life, which is such a great feeling.
Yes. So post high school graduation, what originally got you into finances?
Yeah, it was solely by accident. So I went off to school and to college, and I studied English literature because my original plan was to become a teacher.
Oh.
And I wanted to become an English teacher. Well, the funny thing happened in around 2008 and 2009 was the markets crashed and we had a great recession. And so when I was graduating school, nobody was hiring. And going to a school to teach had very, very risky decisions, because so many schools were letting teachers go. They weren't hiring. And I'm sitting here now with a college degree, student loans coming due, and I have no job. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And so I was looking for some entry-level positions at any firm just to get my foot in the door. And Schwab came to me and said, we love your resume. Would you come to work for us? And I remember looking at the recruiter when he was talking with me, and he said, oh yeah, you're going to be a great fit. And I truly thought he had my resume mixed up with someone else, because I had no finance classes, no finance experience. And I'm like, what in the world is he talking about? And he said, Rita, he said, here in our firm, we believe that it's the person that matters, not their knowledge. We'll teach you the technical stuff that you'll need to know for the job, but we can't teach you how to interact with people and have that personality to be that type of coach. And so that is how I stumbled into the job. Again, I mentioned when I told my mom and dad I got the job, they're like, are you sure?
Yes.
But nonetheless, they taught me everything that I needed to know. They helped me get all of my industry licenses that I needed to have, as well as my designations that make my job a lot easier. And, I find that when you're interviewing for a job, when you're ready to take that first step, you think that they're interviewing you to make sure that you're a good fit for them, but you're also making sure that they're a good fit for you.
Yes, that you want to go work for them.
Exactly.
As a female, are there many girls in this industry, or is it mostly men?
Yeah, I wish I could say that it's a 50-50 split, but not yet. Back in the days, it was primarily only males that worked this type of capacity. And we've gotten better, myself included. But the biggest thing that I've noticed is that a lot of females, I feel, get worried about the type of job. They associate financial advisory either with math or numbers that maybe they don't feel confident in, or they see it as a sales job. And a lot of folks get leery of capacities where if you don't perform well, you don't get paid. And, the biggest takeaway that I try to tell younger gals and girls that are trying to get into the industry is, it is not the same role. There's not the same title for every type of job. And so, yes, you will find those firms that have those traditional sales roles, but you can also work in a capacity like me where you don't need to be great at math or you don't need to be afraid of numbers. You get to come in and help people. And so I think as that message extends and starts being relayed, I think we'll see a really positive shift in this particular role. But no, unfortunately at this time, I'm one of few women in this industry. But hey, maybe in a couple of years that'll change.
Yes. Yeah, when I hear finances, I like math, but it's not like, I think it's like all math. And so talking to you, it's helped me to understand what it really is.
Yeah, and there's so many different capacities, right? For someone like you who might love math, you could absolutely work at a firm and doing all of the analysis behind the scenes. And you could, in theory, create the reports that I rely on because I'm not good at math. And so it's so complex, the different types of roles within the industry. And so I tell folks, don't look at it as if there's only one job. There's so much to do in a particular industry. And my goal is that as people start learning about investing and finance, that they find it to be fun, and then we'll align them with the right job for them.
So what are some of your hobbies, and do you have time for them?
I wish I had more time for them. But yes, so my boyfriend, Steve, he and I love to go hiking, and we love to travel. And so we've had the ability to go hike in Utah. We hike some of the mountains up here in Colorado. So in the summertime, we'd love to get out and do that. In the winter time, when the mountains are covered in snow, I'm still learning. I still look like Bambi on the skis, but I'm learning how to ski. And so I'm trying to get out there and embrace the mountain living. And on a more quiet day, if there's a blizzard going on and there is inability to go out, I'm also very happy with my cup of coffee and my fireplace and a good book.
Yeah, we don't usually get blizzards in Texas. I don't know the last time we've had one.
You guys get snow?
Yeah, a little bit, not really.
Yeah.
I haven't skied in so many years.
Yeah. Well, they say that it's like riding a bike, so I'm sure you do fantastic at it once you get out there.
Yeah, I practice.
Yeah, well, you can come join me on the bunny slopes because that's where I'm still working.
Yeah, that's where I'd be.
Yeah.
What's the best part of your job?
Having the ability to help people make decisions that are so impactful for their lives, their families' lives, and their legacies. I mean, the conversations that I have really make a difference. And I love that about my job. It inspires me. So on days, because all days that sometimes you don't want to wake up, you're like, oh, I don't want to go to work today. Sure, everyone gets them. But when you come to work and say, you know what, though, the conversation I'm going to have today is going to make a difference in this person's life, it inspires you. It's kind of that spark that makes you excited to come in.
Yeah.
I love that part of my job.
Yes. When you get a client, how long do you usually work with them for? Like how many years?
Yeah. So I've had clients that have been with Schwab and have worked with someone like me for over 20 years.
Whoa.
Yes, yeah. So these are lifelong relationships that you're establishing, and what they're going through in life might be different, right? Maybe they are first married when they come to me, but over time they start having kids, they start going through different jobs. And so I actually have clients that I met in my very first year here at Schwab that I'm still in contact with,
Well,
7 years later. Yeah.
so first impressions are important.
First impressions are definitely lasting impressions. And I would say this, it's important in this type of job to be just as flexible as your clients are, learning new things. There's a lot of regulatory changes that might come up over the years. Different investment tools might be created. And so being flexible, being willing to learn is what's going to keep those clients with you for those 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are some of the challenges of the job?
Well, and any time that you're dealing with people, there's always the challenge of people. Yes. The money in finance is so emotional. It's so personal. Yeah. And when you're talking with clients about things that are very emotional, sometimes you have to navigate challenging conversations. I call them courageous conversations, where you might have to tell somebody, hey, you're spending too much money. Or you want to retire at age 40, but you don't really have enough money to retire at age 40, right? And so sometimes having those more complex conversations can be challenging. But overall, if you have a good relationship with the client, they know that you're coming from a place of care. So it's not so bad. The other challenge, very honestly, is that there are days when I'm in the office all by myself and I don't even see anybody. So, and I think as a lot of people start adapting to a potentially, pre-COVID or post-COVID environment where people might be working virtually, it's important to remember that we're people and that we need our time with each other, and how to have connections like this, virtual coffee dates, in order to be able to keep our own sanity.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. While we're on very hard shutdown, I definitely miss hanging out with people.
Yes, I feel ya. Hopefully soon. Soon.
Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Oh gosh, I would love to be able to say that I'm in this exact chair, but I have more families that I work with, and that I have a bigger team because there's just so many more people to help. And that every day I still come in, and instead of those initial conversations, there's those second level conversations. Congratulations on your new child. Now what? Yes. I'm hoping that that's where I'll be in 5 to 10 years. And the great thing about it is I get to make that decision every day.
Mm-hmm. For anyone who is interested in pursuing a field of work like you, do you have any advice for them?
I would say, think about what brings you joy every day. Is it being with people? Is it helping people? And if so, then focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Because in this job, the knowledge you can learn, but really coming in and being yourself and helping people is the skill set that is harder to come by. And so for anyone who's interested, I always suggest take a finance class, learn the basics, and try investing, whether it's with real money or virtual money. Try it out and think about how you're feeling through all of it, because this job is primarily coping with feelings and helping clients navigate feelings. And I think that will set you up for a shoe-in fit for a position like this.
Well, I've really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me for coffee. I've learned so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Keira. It's so enjoyable. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time on Coffee with Keira.